the ball, Taves. Won it by Matthews. Give it back for Taves. Marching down deep. Shoots and scores! The ball, Taves!
All right, and welcome back, Vendetta Sports Hockey Show. Gavin here is with me. It's been a while since I've done one of these shows. Should be interesting. We have 4 topics for you today. I'm sure we'll go on some side tangents, but we'll jump right into things. My team, Vegas Golden Knights, a little bit banged up here, Gavin.
Fantastic,
outside looking in on the playoffs.
Here's the thing, like, everyone knew what Vegas were doing with Eichel and putting Stone on long-term injury reserve. Everyone knew what they were doing. It's backfired them. And I mean, they could still go out and do deals before
the
trade
thing is,
deadline.
I don't think he'd be playing though.
Stone,
yeah, he's got a bad back.
He was playing up to 2 days before they freaking knew they were getting Eichel.
They were holding him out of the lineup like 2 games here, 2 games there, 2 games here.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all.
Okay.
But yeah, I think they're in major trouble right now. Like, who are you going to get at the trade deadline that you can bring in and realistically is going to, like, are they really going to be in on like Claude Giroux, like that sort of high end talent? I don't see it. And then of course, if they don't make the playoffs, like, why did you bring in Eichel?
Well,
you know, that
like,
trade's
how
gonna
old
be
is
looked
Eichel?
at.
23, 24, 25?
Yeah, but what's he done really? Like, has he really?
He's been great, actually.
I'm not. Like,
he looks like their only guy that like can play.
He's putting up points, but when you have Dadonov scoring goals for you, it's not good. You know, I did say at the beginning of the season that I thought there would be 5 teams that came from the Central and 3 from the Pacific, and that can still happen. But I did not.
Very
honestly,
still happen.
I did not honestly think Vegas would be the team to drop out of it.
Well, a couple months ago, you yelled at me because I called Vegas the most injured team in the sport right now.
Yeah, and they're not.
They're not. They have to be.
No, the Kings.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Robin Leonard's hurt. Riley Smith's hurt. Mark Stone's hurt. Pacioretty's hurt. And now Eichel got hurt yesterday.
So as of last night, Kings injuries: Anderson, Arvidsson, Atencio, Bjornfoot, Brown, Doughty, Elder, Lemieux, Roy, Walker. Okay, they don't have a goaltender out injured at the moment, but that's a lot of like NHL quality.
I bet you those salaries don't add up to what Vegas has out.
I was hoping you'd say that. 36.4 million is what the Kings have out as of last night. 35 million is what Vegas have out as of last night.
Really?
Yes. So the LA Kings.
He came with stats.
The LA Kings are the most injured team in the NHL right now, and they're still ahead of Vegas in the standings.
Ahead by a lot, actually.
6 points.
Not much time to go, though.
Saying that, like, the Kings, if they're going to keep pushing, they need to get some of them players back. Like, they need to get Drew Doughty back. You know, because having watched them last night against, not last night, Tuesday night, against the Avalanche, like, their defense was AHL level quality, and the Avalanche never broke a sweat and still comfortably won. Jonathan Quick was amazing in net. He brought some fantastic saves. But if they're going to, I don't think anyone's catching Calgary in the Pacific.
No.
But if you would think the Kings, the Oilers, Vegas, after that, Vancouver are obviously making a push as well. But if you look at them 3-4 teams, like, the Kings need to win games to make sure they make the playoffs. And then you do make the playoffs, like, who are you playing? Edmonton?
Big game tomorrow, too. Kings play Vegas tomorrow.
If everything stays, and that's a huge game.
Because
if you're the Kings, if you push that to 8 points,
yeah,
it's a long way to come back from for Vegas. And if you're Vegas, if you push it to 4 points with the amount of injuries that the Kings have, you really start to believe that you can do it. You can catch them. But
Depends
it's
what Edmonton we're getting too.
Edmonton are a weird one. Like they went out last night, was it? And won 6-1. And then there's other games like they're winning 6-5. I don't think Edmonds a playoff team. I really don't. I think they'll make it. But I would be honest with you, I would be totally fine with Vegas taking that third spot in the Pacific if it meant Edmonton took the second playoff place. Because we would absolutely destroy Edmonton.
Okay. Any thoughts on what the Knights should do at the deadline? Can they make a move for a goalie if Leonard's done for the year?
If Leonard's done until the playoffs, they have to. Yeah. But here's the thing: like Leonard's done for the season. Like there's got to be some sort of the NHL have to look into this because Leonard apparently now is done for the season or done until the playoffs. Which, wow, what a coincidence!
He might be done though. He's got a torn shoulder labrum or something.
But it's just weird the way they phrase some things, and it's like we still haven't put Gabriel Landeskog or Sam Girard on long-term injury reserve. Like we still haven't done that, and I'm nearly certain they're just waiting to see. Okay, well, what do we need to do to get deals done? And at that point, they'll put them on. I don't think
I'm still waiting for an update on Drew Doughty. They're like, oh, he should be back. It's like, well, he's been out for like 6 games. What are you talking about?
I don't think Landeskog plays before the playoffs. Which at that point, if you're Colorado, you just put him on long-term injury reserve.
I'm dealing with the same thing with Heiskanen. It's like, what do you mean he's week to week? He's got mono. Right? How bad could it be?
The NHL's injury reports are amazing. Apparently, Jared Bednar fucked up the other night and said it was a back problem for Girard, and then realized what he said and was like, "Oh, lower body injury. Sorry." It's like it's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I can tell you, Girard's back is not hurting him from carrying the fucking team because he's been shit in the last couple of weeks.
Speaking of your Avalanche, we can transition right into them. Turns out it doesn't look like Claude Giroux is coming. It looks like the Florida Panthers are in the lead for him right now. Any thoughts on what Colorado might do before the deadline here?
So I worked a lot yesterday. I don't know if it's gone out yet, but me and Jerry recorded an NHL shorts.
I have them. I just need a description to put them on YouTube. Gotcha.
We discussed this, and I was always of the mindset that I didn't think they'd get Giroux. I didn't think Giroux would come. It would have been a nice piece to have, but I could never see him in an Avalanche sweater. Andrew Kopp of Winnipeg, I think could definitely be a deal.
You like him?
I do.
He's fine.
He's the type of player that I would want going into a playoff series. I would have said Hurdle before the Sharks signed him, but we'll get into the Sharks later. Kopp would be definitely one. I don't see them going for any more defenders. I think at this point it's going to be forwards that they go for. And realistically, when you look at it, you need to bring someone in who's going to give you some sort of depth scoring. McKinnon, Ranson, and Landeskog are fine. Kadri, Burakovsky, Nichushkin, when everyone's fit, is fine. Even Alex Newhook is fine. JT Compher can't score unless he's on a power play or on the top line or on the top 2 lines. Logan O'Connor's fallen off the face of the earth. And like you've got to get something from that. It's fine if they can go out there and stop Vegas's top line or Calgary's top line. If they can do that, great. Go and put them out there and then put McKinnon and Landeskog against Calgary or Vegas's third line. It's fine. But I just feel they need a little bit more from that bottom 6. And
what are your thoughts on these teams that are so aggressive handing out a high acquisition cost for a Josh Manson or a Chariot on Montreal?
So the Josh Manson deal, like I didn't like it, but I didn't like it because of Drew Helson. And again, okay. I said this in the NHL show, but I'll say it again. I think Drew Helson is a stud. I think he's going to be an app. I think by the time he finishes his NHL career, or by the time he hits his peak, he will be in top 10 for Norris candidacies. Now, his problem is he's going to be in there against Adam Fox, Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, Luke Hughes if he comes through. He's going to be in against all them, so it'll be. But I still think he will be a top 10 Norris candidate when once he gets his feet wet and once he starts hitting his stride. That's why I didn't like the Manson deal. Because I think Drew Hellison's ceiling, although most people don't agree, I think Drew Hellison's ceiling is a lot higher than Josh Manson. Like, a lot of people are thinking, well, if Drew Hellison becomes Josh Manson, then that's his top tier. I don't think so. I think he could be a better player. That's why I didn't like the Manson deal. Had nothing to do with Manson himself. I think he makes the Avalanche tougher to play against, and he makes the Avalanche tougher in general. And he's exactly what the Avalanche need going into a playoff series, because we all saw last year against Vegas, they got bullied in the last 4 games. You know, they literally got bullied. They need someone who's going to be able to step in there and step up, and that's
Sam
one of the
Girard's
reasons
tough.
Sam Girard is not tough. Sam Girard's probably the same height as me. Well, it's one of these things that, you know, you have Curtis McDermott, and Curtis McDermott, when playing in a forward role, has averaged, I think, 3 to 4 minutes a night. He is not playing. He is not on the ice. He is not someone you're going to stick out there and say, go get me a goal. He is someone you're sticking out there and saying, go hit someone. Like, they're getting physical. Go hit someone. Go start a fight. Go hit Stone or Eichel or Pacioretty or someone, Marcia Show. Go hit them. Go hit one of their top line players and let Vegas know, hey, you guys want to start playing physical? We can play physical. I think the Manson trade gives the Avalanche a chance to do that on the back end again, but with someone who actually has skill. Because let's face it, Curtis McDermott is, how he is an NHL hockey player, I do not know. I really don't. But it gives him a chance to have someone out there who can. It's ideally someone who can take penalties, or who can kill penalties, but who can also take penalties, and it's not your top line. It's not your McKinnon throwing helmets at someone. It's not Landeskog having to stand up for his teammates because there's no one else on the team that can fight. It's not a Kadri having to stand up for his teammates because there's no one else on the team that can fight. You know, it's basically saying, Kadri, Landeskog, let it go, get off the ice. McDermott, go in there and hit someone. That's all you're looking for him to do. And I think that, like, the Avalanche have got tougher this year in that aspect. It'll be interesting to see, though, if they do play Vegas, what happens.
It's an interesting strategy by these teams, because last year Tampa Bay gave up a first-round pick for Savard, and I kind of sat there being like, seems a bit high. Seems a bit high to give up a first-round pick for that guy. Florida just did it with Chariot. I don't know. It just seems like these physical defensemen, like, you really got to give up a lot for those guys. Doesn't seem right.
The worst part of it is you're going to have all these old school hockey guys who are going to turn around now and say, if Colorado win the cup, it's because they traded for Josh Manson and Curtis McDermott. Has nothing to do with the fact that they have one of the best players in the world, in Nathan McKinnon. Kadri having a freaking, like, just an amazing season.
Yeah, it was all because of Savard last year for the Lightning.
Right. And it's gonna be the same with Florida. Like, if Florida do happen to go on and win it, like, they've got some high end freaking, like, skill players. But if they win it, it's gonna be, that bench rot deal that worked out. That's what they needed. They needed that sandpaper. Like, fucking hell.
As if Gudis wasn't that guy already.
Right? Like, Gudis is that player. You're just basically looking for someone to help him out, to take some of the weight off him, to take some of the heavy lifting. That's all you're doing if you're Florida.
I didn't get a name, though, other than Andrew Kopp. Do we have another name for you?
I don't think they're going after defenders. I'm trying to think of who's out. Raquel from the Ducks.
Oh.
Again, it's what these old school hockey players, old school hockey guys will call sandpaper. It's the sandpaper. You know, he won't be the reason Colorado win a Stanley Cup. That'll be McKinnon and Landeskog and Rantanen and McCarr and Taves. They'll be the if Colorado win the Stanley Cup this year, it'll be because of them. It won't possibly because Kemper doesn't shit the fucking bed. But all these old hockey school guys will be like, oh no, it's because they added him. You know, I don't think the Avalanche, like, they need some scoring on their bottom six, and that's why I like Kopp, is because I think he can play in that bottom six, but I also think he can put up points. He can be that skilled player. He can be tough, and he can take hits and he can give hits, but I also think he can score. And I think the Avalanche style of play would suit him down to the ground. You know?
What about Philip Forsberg?
I don't think the Avalanche have I don't think Nashville would want to retain. So I don't think the Avalanche have enough to do the deal. If he's available, I
think he is available.
He loves playing in Colorado. Like every time he plays against us, he fucking scores. It would be someone that I would look at and go, maybe. But then, realistically, you're paying for Forsberg. What are you paying for him to do? You're paying for him to be a third liner. He's not going to be on the first line. He's not going to be on, unless you're pushing Nichushkin down, and Nichushkin has had a fantastic season as well. He's not going to be on the second line. So you're really, and I think this is what Sakic is weighing out, and especially when it comes to the Claude Giroux deal as well. He's weighing out what he's giving up versus what he's going to get from this person on a line that they're not used to playing on. Giroux is not going to be used to playing on the third line. And he's not getting on the first line. He's not getting on the second line. So does it make more sense to keep some assets and go for someone like a Kopp or a Raquel than it would be to go all out and get Giroux?
I don't think you could sell me on Raquel. I think he stinks.
I don't think you can sell me on Raquel either, but he's the type of player that he's the type of player that the Avalanche have always kind of lacked to a certain extent. You know, he's just one of these players that's just, he's nasty. Like one of the things that when they picked up Manson, one of the things they kept saying was he's difficult to play against. I think the Avalanche at times are too easy to play against, especially if you're a hard-hitting team.
I'm trying to look for a name that I think makes sense. How about if Jake Debrusk still says he wants out?
No. Not a fucking chance. The Debrusk contract is like what, $4 million or something like that?
Yeah.
Like Boston would want to retain. He's not worth $4 million. You know, it all depends on what teams are gonna be in there as well. Like what teams are realistically going to be looking to trade. Like, do some teams still have outside chance and still think they can make it?
I threw Patrick Kane's name out there, and Andrew yelled at me, said it's not going to happen.
Patrick Kane won't happen till the summer. In the summer, I think it'll happen, but I don't think it'll happen till the summer. And then you got to understand as well, Patrick Kane, $10.5 million. Like, what team is realistically going to be able to afford that? Like Chicago.
Tell Chicago to eat it.
Chicago would have to retain a shit ton, which if you're Chicago and you're actually going into a rebuild now, like you don't want to retain. You don't want to retain anything on that. You want to get as many draft picks as you can, and you want to start the rebuild and get it. And like fair play, like the new GM has basically came out and said, I know I have Patrick Kane, I know I have Jonathan Toews, but this is a rebuild. And I'm sure that didn't go down well with them two players, but he's doing.
Imagine if Erik Karlsson was on the team, he wouldn't have been happy.
Erik Karlsson still thinks the freaking San Jose Sharks are a freaking Stanley Cup team. I wouldn't mind Dominic Kubalik.
What are you trying to sell me here, Gavin?
From Chicago, I would not mind Dominic Kubalik. But again, you're looking at bottom six players. Your top six is set. And it's set to the point where they're doing fucking fantastic. They're doing everything for your team. You don't need anything. New Hook's doing fine where he is. You know, so you're looking for bottom six, bottom kind of three players. So you're not
I'll give
looking
you one more name. How about Oliver Bjorkstrand? Columbus. They're kind of out of it.
They are. If I was going for someone for Columbus, I'd probably go for one of their goaltenders, and their goaltenders aren't exactly great. So
really, their goalies have been bad.
Yeah, my main problem with Bjorkstrand would be the contract. $5.4 million. He still has 6 years remaining. 5 years remaining. Sorry. I don't think the Avs are looking to take on any money that's going past this summer. because letting Jost go for Sturm freed up a bit of money. They obviously have their UFAs coming up in the summer as well. I think it'll all depend on what happens this year and if they win or not. I think Sakic is trying to go all in this year, but I think he's also looking at next year and how can he keep that second line together of Nichushkin, Burakovsky, and Kadri. I think he's thinking, okay, we're going all in now, but I'm going to play very, very smart, because if I can offload money, and they're not going to have a lot of money to play with, but can I sign Kadri to another 1-year deal, 4.5 million? Can I sign Burakovsky to a 1-year deal, 5 million? Can I sign Nichushkin to a 1-year deal, 3 million? Can that come underneath my cap? Can I keep that second line together?
Well, where's Kemper fit into that?
You don't keep Kemper.
He's gone.
Yeah. If you can keep that line together, like, you're not keeping Helm, you're not keeping Sturm, you're not keeping Abe Kubel. You're not keeping Manson, you're not keeping Murray, you're not keeping McDermott, you're not keeping Johnson. Yes, your team goes down drastically. You're not keeping Kemper. Your team goes down drastically, but that's why you've been working with the Eagles so much. Because now it's do or die for Martin Kaut. It's do or die for Sampo Ranta. It's do or die for Shane Bowers. You got Oscar Lawson killing in the juniors in Canada. So can he possibly make a play and come onto a third line? You know? This is where all those draft picks over all those years that you were really, really bad have to start paying you back. You don't keep Kemper. You go Francouz as your number 1 next year.
Wow. Contract extension, Francouz.
Yes. And you have Justus Annunen as his backup. Because I don't think another year in the AHL does Annunen any good. I think he's already shown that he's got that league on lock. Like, anytime he's played, he's been absolutely fantastic.
Well, it'll be fantastic. So next year, someone will draft Kemper like 15th overall, and then he'll turn into a pumpkin. It'll be great.
As long as we have the same rules.
Like Grubauer did this year. Somebody took him way too high.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was, the 3rd or 4th goaltender off the board. I was like, I remember looking at that going, no.
Yep.
You're making a mistake.
That'll be Kemper this year.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, you bring up Annunen. You have Francouz as your number 1. You have Annunen as your number 2. You play Annunen in maybe 25, 30 games. You give Francouz the other 50.
You have anything else to add on Colorado? It's been the Avalanche show.
I still don't. I know you're very much in on the Avalanche, but I don't think they're. I still don't. I'm not convinced this is it.
So who's your pick then?
I said this before. Boston and Vegas is my pick.
Wow. You still think Vegas is going to make it?
I still think Vegas will make it.
Wow. They got some work to do then.
All Vegas needs to do is make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs and all those players come back, they're set.
I think at this point they need to add. I think you go further in. It's like Pacioretty, just see you later. Like, you're done till the playoffs. Like, I think you got to push it further in.
Yeah, but you've got to understand the NHL have to be doing something. Like, they can't be just sitting there going, no, you can't just put players on long-term injury reserve willy-nilly. Otherwise, we'd have done it with Landeskog already. So they need to go all. They need to go in, but
at minimum they have to do it with Leonard.
Yeah, they need a goaltender. I would not be surprised if Fleury's back there before trade deadline.
I wrote a post on it.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. Speaking of goaltenders, do Toronto Maple Leafs have the new Jordan Binnington?
They might have the new Jack Campbell.
For Toronto's sake, I hope not, because if he plays like good for half a season and falls off the face of the fucking earth, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, no, Eric Kallgren, he's been on fire. Made I believe now 2 starts. I should have had his stats in front of me, but I don't. Freddie Anderson made his return to Toronto yesterday. Didn't go so well because this kid showed him up. 34 saves.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think he had a shutout in the game before. In his,
shutout against the Dallas Stars. He's got a 963 save percentage, 2-0 so far. 2-0-1.
I think the first game he played, I think that was his second game, he got the shutout.
This first game he played was in relief of Mrazek, who got benched in a game against the Coyotes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was weird because they played Buffalo in that outdoor game. And I remember watching the game, and I remember Paul Bissonnette just going absolutely crazy that Mrazek was in net. They need to play the kid. You know? And then I watched the next game he played against the Stars. And, I mean, pucks were bouncing off him. Let's be real here. They were bouncing off him. But if you're a goaltender, that all you're looking for is to get in the line of the puck. Yeah. You know, that's all you're looking to do. If it bounces off you, it bounces off you. That's why your defenders are there to clear in front of the net. And they did. The Maple Leafs actually did that pretty well. But it's it's crazy, like seeing the Toronto fans celebrate after the Stars win. Like they were showing someone in the crowd. You'd swear they'd won the Stanley Cup. I think I really think they think now we've got a goaltender, we can win this. I'm like, he's played 3 games, 1 in relief. Like, calm down. Just you're still going out in the first round, okay? Relax.
That's what I say in my power rankings every time. Is like I can't rank Toronto in the top 10 until they win a playoff series.
No, it's like it's Toronto. Like you just know that come playoffs, it's going to be the old Toronto. Not going to be wrong. I would love Toronto to go on a rampage on the East and beat everyone. Because if Colorado do make the Stanley Cup final and have to play Toronto, I'm fine with that. Like, I think I've said to you before, there's 2 teams on the West I don't want to meet. Dallas and Vegas. Everyone else I'm fine with. Like, I really, like, bring it on. You know,
I'm higher on Calgary than you are.
Yeah, you are. And the reason why I'm not as high on Calgary is you look at the Avalanche game they played against them, and it's actually the game they lost, that the Avalanche lost.
I'll tell you what, Dan Vladar did a hell of a job, though.
Yeah, he did. The Avalanche, like, it felt to me as if Calgary were going full tilt. They were pushing everything at Colorado. And it never looked like Colorado got going. And then they had a 5-minute period, Colorado did, where they just freaking tore Calgary apart. And they did in the second game as well. They just had a period of time where they just tore them apart. And I think that's what Colorado can do. And I think, like, there's few teams I think that can stop that from happening, that can actually. One of the things that the Avalanche talked about last year during the playoffs was we couldn't stop the bleeding. I think there's a few teams that can stop Colorado from just going all out assaulting them. Vegas and the Stars. They seem to be able to do it.
I think Calgary needs one more defenseman.
Yeah.
Rasmus Anderson is fine. He's taking a step forward, but you know, he can't be doing all this by himself here.
And then, like, so you look at it realistically, the only teams I'm scared of on the West are Dallas and Vegas. On the East, there's quite a few teams that I would prefer not to meet. Like, I would not want to meet Florida in a 7-game series.
They're tough. They lost last night, and they should have won.
I feel better about Carolina than I do Florida, but I still would not like to meet them in a 7-game series. I don't want to meet Boston in a 7-game series. As bad as Boston have been this year at times, like, you know that Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak, that Hall, that they're going to come.
I got an Andrew McGinnis stat for you, actually.
Go for it.
Boston Bruins, number 1, NHL, goals allowed, 5-on-5.
Goals allowed.
5-on-5.
See, that's surprising
Boston
because I've always thought of the Bruins as something of a defensive team. Like, Pasternak is obviously your high-end skill forward, but I've always thought them as very tough to play against, very tough to score against. So I got
another stat for you.
That's surprising. Oh, here we go.
Pasternak leads the NHL in goals since January 1st.
Well, he was injured for the first half of the season. I mean, I'm, again, not surprised. Like, Pasternak's a star. Like, you always hear about McKinnon and McDavid and Draisaitl, and I think Pasternak's up there with them. I honestly do. I really do. I think I don't like watching Boston play because it just makes me worry even more. But
I don't like watching Boston play because of Jack Edwards.
Well, that too. But watching Pasternak play is just like guy's phenomenal. He's absolutely amazing. I really do. I want them to meet Toronto. Somehow I want them to meet Toronto in the first round.
No.
Just for
I want
shits
the
and
Bruins
giggles.
to play Toronto first round.
Just for shits and giggles. Like, what way would it... Oh, right now Toronto would play Tampa.
Yeah, good luck.
Sorry, Toronto. Damn.
I'd much rather be in that other division.
So right now, if the playoffs were to start today, the East would be Florida versus Washington. That'd be tough for Florida.
I think Florida will be all right.
Washington don't have a goaltender though. Tampa Bay versus Toronto. Carolina versus Boston. That'd be yeah.
Carolina has lost to them before in the playoffs.
And Pittsburgh versus New York Rangers.
Oh God, that doesn't even seem fair for the Rangers. They should be getting somebody a lot better than that.
Pittsburgh are second in the division. They're fine.
They're okay, I think.
They're fine. They're exactly where they should be. Like, I would not put Pittsburgh second in that division at the beginning of the year.
Me neither. I thought they were going to miss the playoffs.
I thought there was a chance, but when you have Crosby, it is what it is. But let's talk about the Sharks. I really want to talk about the Sharks.
Speaking of which, it's the same color of the shirt you're wearing because I haven't pointed that out yet.
Hold on. I lost a bet. I kept my end of the bargain.
I'll keep mine too.
All right. I trust you. I don't know why, but I trust you.
Speaking of which, trade deadline's come and gone. No trades for you.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I tried to make one with Scott, but
did you?
He was being a little bitch.
What'd you offer him?
It was a very slanted deal. I will admit, it was a very slanted deal.
I want to hear it anyway.
I want to say I offered him Thomas Kempe and Hannafin.
Okay.
It gets better. It gets better. For Ovechkin, Rust, and Hall.
Oh.
In my defense, he said, "Yeah, I'm done. I make me an offer, and I'll help you win." I'm like, "No problem." So I made an offer that would help me win. But then he was like, "No, that's not no." And I'm like, "You can't fucking win anyway. What's the point?"
You got a little greedy, is what you did.
I got very greedy. I thought it was a fair deal. Kempe's
all right, back to the Sharks. Thomas Hurdle extension.
What are they doing? Like, seriously, what are they doing? I don't. Someone needs to take Doug Wilson and just like bring him out to pasture. Old Yeller his ass, because he's wrecking that team. He's ruining that team. I get he's probably got players like Carlson in his ear saying, "I want to win now," and he's got 6 more years. And no, your window's done. You don't have a window anymore. Carlson doesn't like that. He can go somewhere else and play. No one's going to.
Yeah, but who's going to take him?
No one's going to take that contract. And I think that's the way you got to explain it to Carlson. Like, look, we've got you for another 6 years. That stupid fucking deal. So sit down and shut up. We're doing a rebuild. You're gonna have.
The sad part is I've actually watched the Sharks a couple times. He actually does look good.
Yeah, like you basically your job for the next 3 years, 4 years maybe, until they buy out his contract, is to make the players that you're playing with better. To make
Burns kind of still has it.
Burns does, which is surprising because Burns is actually older than Carlson.
Yeah,
by quite a bit. But yeah, I've been out on the Sharks, and it's one of these things of living in California and being a Colorado fan. Like, I don't mind the Kings and I don't mind the Ducks too much, but the Sharks, like, their fans are just
really
annoying. Oh yeah, when they signed Carlson, like, their fans were, we're all in again. We're all in again. All in for what? Like, Carlson's a fucking injury prone. Like, you telling me that Erik Karlsson's going to sit there and stop Nathan McKinnon from running all over him? He's not. He's not that player. But what he can do is he's still got very high IQ.
Moves the
Partner
puck
with-
well, shoots the puck well.
Partner him with a Ryan Merkley. You know,
Ryan Merkley.
the,
You can't give him somebody better than that.
the kid is a problem in that his attitude stinks. But when it comes to talent, it's there. You've just got to figure out a way of getting out. Like, I remember watching him and like during his draft year, and I just remember thinking, this kid's an asshole. But he's an asshole because he knows he's talented. He should not. I think he dropped the 31st. He dropped really low in the draft. And I remember thinking he should not have dropped that low. Like, the Sharks should have never have got him. But you need to start a rebuild. You need to do.
What do you do if you're the Sharks? You can at least sell off a couple pieces for this year, right? Even if you're keeping Hurdle.
You look for draft picks. You don't have a second round draft pick this year. You know? It's like
nobody's
you're
taking
getting,
Couture.
No. Again, not on a deal sale. Not unless you make
What's Timo Meyer's contract? Anybody take him?
Timo Meyer.
He's having a hot year.
2 years at $6 million. Maybe.
He's having a good year.
You got him on a contract for next year. I mean, it's a possibility. But like, if you're the Sharks, you're looking for first round and second round picks. The only way you're going to get that is by trading
Vlasic?
the likes of a Hurdle. You're not getting a first round pick for Vlasic. Although saying that, Florida gave a first round pick for Ben Sherratt, so never mind. Maybe I don't know. But like, at this point, you need to like start getting your draft picks. You've got
Can I say this?
7 round.
I think Reimer's better than you think he is. I'm not saying he's a world beater.
Is he your future though?
No, but I think, like, let's say Vegas need a goaltender right now. You can do worse than him.
Yeah, but you're not getting a first round draft pick again.
No.
Here's the thing. This year they've got 3 7 round draft picks. What's the fucking point? Like, really, what's the point of having 3 7 round draft picks? Like, who are you seriously thinking you're picking up in the 7th round?
Where did
Like,
Thomas Hurdle go in the 7th round, right? 6th round? 4th round? I don't know.
I don't think
late.
he went. He went late, but I don't think he went that late. I'm trying to look it up. No, he went. Thomas Hurdle was a first round pick. He was
Really?
17th. Yeah, 17th.
Oh boy, I was wrong.
But and like you're not getting high end talent, or realistically you're not. If you're like, how many people really realistically come from the 7th round and become bona fide stars?
Let's
You may
play a
get bottom
hypothetical.
4.
Let's say the Sharks had a healthy Evander Kane all year. Would it have made any of a difference?
Healthy mentally or healthy physically, or both?
Both.
Would it have made a difference? It didn't last year. I don't think so. Because he can be both mentally and physically healthy, but he's still a cancer in the locker room.
He's been very good for Edmonton so far. Short sample size, but
short sample size. Yeah. Wait until shit starts going wrong, and then we'll see.
I don't think the Sharks are going to tank though.
But here's the thing: like,
what if they're buyers at the deadline?
The Sharks? Are you serious?
This is Doug Wilson's world. We're just trying to live in it.
They're 10 points away from Vegas, and Vegas have been struggling.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the Sharks, like you realistically, you need, I would say, 25 points from 22 games.
That ain't happening.
That ain't happening. Like, and that's taking into account that other teams fall off the fucking face of the earth. Because
maybe they're buyers.
Vegas have 19 games left, and they're at 70 points. So if you think if they win half their games, you're looking at 86 points. So even with 25 points, the Sharks wouldn't make it. And you're talking like 25 points. You're talking they'd have to win 13 of their last 20 games 22
What
games.
what if Doug Wilson calls up Vancouver Jam and he's like, listen, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, send him over.
Yeah, give me another bad contract. It's like the Sharks. It's one of these things where it's the land you go to die.
Oliver
You know,
Ekman-Larsson, send him over to San Jose.
You're not doing anything there. Like they got lucky in the last draft, and that everyone seemed to freaking whiff on William Eklund. They got really, really lucky because he's a really good player. But you need more of that. You need more high first-round picks. Look at the Avalanche. When they went through their really bad period, they traded away Duchesne. They got deals. They made deals. There was the one draft that the Avalanche are going to look back on in about 10 years and go, that probably changed our team, was not the Makar draft, but the Byron draft, where they got Byron and Newhook. Now, this is all based on the fact that Byron actually comes back from his concussions healthy.
Yeah, you're still holding on to him, huh?
Why not? Like, you don't, like, if you're the Avalanche, you don't need to sell right now.
Yeah.
No,
I'm saying you for your fantasy team. You're still holding on to him.
He's on IR. It's fine. If he comes back before the season's end, I'll drop like Severson or something and put him in there.
Yeah.
I've got enough defenders that are just basically taking up a space that I can drop them. But that's if he makes it back. I don't think he makes it back. I don't think he plays this year. I think they leave him out until next year, which I think is the right move to do.
Are we sure nobody would take Burns if the Sharks eat some salary? Because he is still actually good.
Eat some salary for what? This year, the whole contract? Because you still have 4 years left on that.
How about if we take like $2 million off to 4 years?
4 years, $8 million. So you're talking 8, 16, 24, 32 million. You're talking.
Let's take two. What if they take 2 each year?
So you're talking 6 million.
Yeah.
Who's gonna take? Because you think about it, he's 37 now. You're looking at. Is he really the type of player that's going to be a Zdeno Chara playing into his 40s? I don't see that for Burns.
No, I think he's pretty good still.
Like, I don't know what way it'd work, man. We need to ask Andrew this, but what would happen if he retired at the end of the season? Like, what happens is his
I don't know.
His cap hit.
That's a
because that may be something that you look at if you're the Sharks. Like, if like, I'm not exactly sure how that works, but if players retire and the cap hit doesn't count against you somehow, maybe you turn around to Burns and say, look, we'll take care of you. Just retire, and that's $6 million that you can then use for something else.
Beautiful.
With the Sharks. But I mean, they're a bad team, and in that division, they're not anywhere close to even challenging for a top 3 place for playoffs. And I don't think they will be for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Which is why the Hurtle deal does not make sense.
What else you want to talk about?
Doug Wilson's fucking lost it.
To close it out. I'm good?
I'm good. I want to see you in I do want to say, are we going to make that Makar deal?
It's too late. The deadline's over.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well. Damn, I guess I'll just hold on to him. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Trey wanted to trade me what? Freaking a set of AirPods for Cale Makar.
No, I can't even offer you a bad trade.
It was. What do you mean you can't offer me a bad trade?
Team's too good.
Your team is too good. This is the cockiness coming out right now.
No, misunderstood.
I will actively admit I was trying to rope people into vetoing your trade deal.
Really?
Yes.
How many people did you message?
I messaged 2, and neither one of them were going for it. And I don't know. I didn't really know anyone else in the league, so I'm like, fuck it.
Wow.
And it doesn't look like certain people are paying attention right now.
Yeah, that's because they saw me and they quit.
Well, no, I think some people, like, when you think about it, the playoff bracket is set.
Yeah.
So while me and you are still changing our teams on a daily basis and stuff like that, I think some of yours are just, I made the playoffs, I'll just come back in the playoffs, which is fine. It is what it is.
And then others quit 2 weeks in when they saw that mammoth of a team I have.
Yeah, that's what it is.
There's one person in the league that has 0 wins.
Is there? Oh yeah, there is. That's the motherfucker I asked to trade. And he just never got back to me.
Yeah.
Already don't like him.
I think he quit 2 weeks in. That's okay.
Just like to throw out there that Scott is 4-16.
Wow. And he's from Canada.
16. It's the guy that's supposed to be the hockey guy. He's 4-16. He should be disowned or something. Oh shoot.
Mike went out. I couldn't have named you 10 hockey players 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. But I will give you this. This fantasy stuff. Like it. Like, and I don't know if it's like from your background in football or what. But
I mean, I've been playing fantasy football since I was like 7, 8.
Last year was my first time ever playing fantasy. And like, I would love to just like that first year and the second year, I don't know. Have you written a post about it? How you differed?
I wrote a post about my year 1. I'll do a year 2 after this year.
So I would love to know how it differed and also what goes into it for you. Like when you're selecting a player, we can do a whole show on this probably. When you're selecting a player, like what do you look at? Are you looking at name?
That'll probably be in the post this year. Yeah.
Are you looking at name value? Like, are you just looking at the name, or are you looking at like stats from last year or 2 years ago, or like? Because as someone who's never played fantasy before, that's the stuff that, like, when I'm picking players, I'm picking based off my image of them the previous couple of seasons.
No, I never did that.
And I think that's where I need to get better. But I still think I can beat you.
Okay. Should be interesting.
It'll be interesting.
All right. Gavin.
All right.
Thank you.
Trey.
I'll send this over to Ivan Drago to get this edited. This has been the Vendetta Sports Hockey Show. Until next time, we will see you soon.